long-term goal kind of motivation that, at least in my experience, kept me going through the same routine. Didn't have the same routine as he did, because I was fortunate to have a car. I was gonna say bug because it was a bug, but a car to go across, you know. Yeah, you know, it is very time-consuming. It is very tiresome, and but it is what it is, and you just have to really, you know, set yourself on your goal. I'm sure you have set yourself on your goal to your education, and just keep going.
And where you're at that stage, I remember going to Salvation College, and I mean, with the same friends that went to high school with me, and you would hear and talk to them because they're your friends as well, and you would hear their stories as well that were coming from TJ, so you were somewhat encouraged too. You know, they're doing the same thing, might as well just keep doing what I'm doing. And getting an education, obviously you have your own personal reasons why you want to obtain an education. And just to add on to all these struggles that you go through when you're at the community college, and now I can go back and reflect and say, well, I was going through all of this. Just add on the experience of the Transborder lifestyle, add on to that I'm a Latino, I'm part of a minority. I was also a first-generation student. I'm a first-generation student, so going through the struggles of trying to find out how to transfer to a four-year institution, trying to do all that, adding that Transborder aspect to all of that adds on to the other struggles that the panel has talked about too.
Oh, wait. Oh, okay. Sorry. Well, yeah. At the beginning, it was. I went to a lot of trouble trying to find a motivation. It was like, for me, being here became like a place where I kind of had to do X, had to do Y. It was had, and not where I wanted to do things. And then I started working and actually got into my field, and most of my friends had already graduated from like in CES engineers. And and then when they would tell me like how much they were paying them as full engineers, I was making more than minimum wage. And I was like, no, but I'm not going back there. I'm gonna finish here, and that's what becomes sort of like a personal struggle. Like it's really tough, but you know, it's like more personal. Like I want to do it. I want to prove not only to people, to myself, that I actually achieve this goal. That's like all these troubles that are holding me back. I just want to be over and show myself that I can do it and move on to bigger, better things.
I want to be mindful of everybody's time. We do have 5 more minutes. Are there any other questions? Yes?
First of all, thank you so much for putting this workshop together. I really appreciate it, especially I come from a campus that's about 15 minutes away from the Mexicali border, which also is our kind of our mirror border here from San Diego and Tijuana. I serve on the board of trustees for Imperial Valley College, and we oftentimes find either community members or even campus community members having this issue at the forefront, especially because we are 15 minutes away from the border. And I really appreciate the conversation that was had here, and especially everybody else who's in the room who can take these experiences back to your college campus and bring some sort of pearls of wisdom and sense into this conversation. I oftentimes find myself having to have tough conversations about transborder students, especially because there is conversation about borrowing addresses or having students pay out-of-state fees versus not having to pay out-of-state fees, and leveraging that conversation in a college community where you understand the dynamics and the demographics of where you're living. My question to the panel is, how do you address either community member or a campus community member who is constantly complaining about transborder students and how they're taking up quote-unquote seats from our local community or students in California, for example? So this question is coming from a very honest place, and I really would like to hear your feedback.
I will take that. So this is the research that I'm deeply and profoundly involved in. I have been for the last 5 years, and that is the question that comes up. And as we earlier heard the talk about creating institutional change, you know, unfortunately, our laws, our policies in the United States don't reflect the experiences of people of color, or haven't in the past. I mean, let's look at it. LGBTQI, like not being able to marry, slavery, and I mean, we go on and on and on of how law has many times oppressed. Here is one more example of that, where we have transborder experiences where we have people who can belong in both nations, who can freely engage and be part of both societies and cultures, yet it is not valued. And what I do is, I point it out. It is an unfortunate truth of the anti-immigrant sentiment that we have in this nation. And it is something that needs to be addressed. And the way that I do it is through research and voicing the stories of these students. Of course, being mindful, right? And protecting the students as well. But that said, you know, trying to change the system, that is one way, through research. However, students are still attending. They're still on campus. Institutional change is very slow, as we have seen throughout history. So efforts need to be strategic. And efforts need to be with in mind the political climate, the political societal climate as well. I mean, we understand the anti-immigrant sentiment that we have seen in the media within the last year and more than that. So, so strategic efforts. Right now, what I'm doing here in this institution is trying to create grassroots initiatives. So, creating a student club. That's what I'm doing. So, being strategic. I understand that perhaps I will not be able to open a Transborder student center because of the racism that exists. And honesty, let's be real. But yeah, I can create institutional change through student-led grassroots efforts, or there's a student club, using the internet at its fullest capacity. So I have using social media. I use Facebook, I use Tumblr, to get students to build community online. So through the web, through online, what happens is that you eliminate that border. People don't have to cross, people can connect. People can create a sense of community. No, it's not the same as being in this room and seeing each other at the same time, at this point in time. However, it is, nonetheless, it is an effort, and it is creating community. I am disseminating information constantly that will help them through that medium. And then just being mindful, like as our panel explained, you know, just acknowledging, just simply acknowledging, taking this information back to your colleges in a very just mindful and coming from, like you said, from a kind, just from, you know, from the heart, and taking it back and educating. Because I understand, I'm just assuming that all of you here are allies. Unfortunately, not everybody is an ally, but I'm assuming that all of you are allies here. And educating other individuals as well. So we're just about the end of our session. However, I would like to ask if you have any last thoughts or words that you would like to say before we end.
Yeah, sorry, to specifically like address your question about, you know, taking spots from, you know, community or residents. I mean, my reply would be that I guess there's maybe a misunderstanding of the types of students that they're Transborder students that are going to these colleges. Just because one crosses the border every day doesn't mean that that person is an immigrant. We're all U.S. citizens.
We all pay taxes.
We all pay taxes, exactly. So while I was in college, I was paying my taxes. I was a part-time retail employee.